The most common question I get asked is, how do I start being a dungeon master, from people that have never even played D&D before? And the thing is, my answer got really convoluted. So today, let's talk about the three major things that you need to do as a new dungeon master that will help you learn how to play. I don't think there's a single video out there that can tell you everything you need to know, but there's three major things that you can do. One is an action, one is knowledge, and one's a little bit of both, that will help you become a dungeon master if you've never played D&D before. If you have and you're a player, I'd pay attention to this, because these things will make a world of a difference. Number one, if you don't have a copy already, pick up the Player's Handbook. Download a free copy. I don't care what you do. Any role-playing game system that's out there, I want you to pick up the thing that lets you create characters. Now, if you're a player, start making characters of all the characters you've never played before. Start at level 1, and then upgrade them to level 2, and then to level 3. As a brand new DM, you've got your work cut out for you. Number one, you need to read this book. You don't need to memorize it, but read it, because it will familiarize yourself with things that may be common sense to you, but not to me. Everyone approaches this game from a different perspective, so you need to take the time to understand what you do and don't know, and what's foreign to you and what you understand naturally. I can't tell you how many people have a natural understanding of the game, but completely miss the social aspect. They'll understand the exploration, but they'll completely miss combat. Everyone is different, so read it. Create your characters. Start at level 1 of every class, and then upgrade them all to level 2. Yes, do it on pen and paper, and take your time. Follow the rules, and you'll be amazed by that process alone what you'll know. But Richard, that's so boring. It is. But now, guess what you also have? You have the character sheets of a whole bunch of NPCs that you can bring in whenever your players need someone of that class. This doesn't just help you learn the game, it gives you tools that you can use later on. So do it. Have fun with it. That's the first thing I want you to do. The second thing is understand this little die right here. This is the D20. The entire system is a D20 based system. But understanding how this die works allows you as a dungeon master to craft DCs, to craft challenges. Now, we're not talking about more esoteric or advanced methods when it comes to Dungeons and Dragons or even DMing. We're talking about the fundamentals of the game. Fundamental number 1, this die can determine success. When do you roll, though? When the players are under duress. If your player had to roll, and you've seen memes, right? I rolled a natural 1. What happens then? You don't just walk down the stairs, you fall down the stairs, right? Well, you don't have to roll a d20 when we're not under duress. When we're trying to move fast or accomplish something and it's requiring us be under duress, that's when you roll. You're trying to barter with the shopkeep. There's a negative consequence that can occur from that interaction, so we roll. If we're tying our shoes or hopping on a saddle, don't have them roll for that. Secondly, understand the difficulty of a challenge. Meaning, if a regular commoner with no pluses, no minus, no proficiency bonus rolls a d20, on an 11, they have a 50% chance of failure. How do we know that? Well, failure happens when we're short of the difficulty challenge. Meaning, a DC 11 fails on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 50%. 10 out of 20 is 50%. Every 2 that I move that changes that percentage 10%. So if I want someone to have a 60% chance of success, that's a DC 9. If I want someone to have a 40% chance, that's a DC 13. I start at 11 and I move it 2 for every 10%. But why is that important for a brand new Dungeon Master? Because if you have a party that goes into a cave and they say, we want to search for secret doors, well, they probably have a bonus to their search, probably a proficiency bonus of +2. Then they're going to have most likely a stat bonus of +1, +2 maybe. So they're getting a +4 because they have proficiency in investigation or that. So they got a +4. If I want to give them a 50-50 shot, well, it's not DC 11, it's DC 13. DC 15 would give them a 50-50 shot. Later on, we don't do this. We set the DCs based upon the difficulty. But in the beginning, we kind of want to make sure that our party is succeeding, or we don't hide something behind that. So we may give it a DC 9. So that way, if they roll a 5, guess what? They still succeed because it was a DC 9. It was an easy secret door for them to find. The average person, if they looked hard enough, would have found it 50% of the time. So always remember that. is the average person capable of finding this 50% of the time. That's a DC 11. And if you always think of things as what's the average person's ability to do this? What's the average person's ability to pick a lock? Well, I would give them maybe a 10% chance if they understood it. So what would that be? It'd be a DC 18, right? Or DC 19 actually, because only 19 and 20, each one of those is 5% would succeed. And if you get the same as the DC, so the DC to pick a complex lock, well, the average person can't really do it, so it's a DC 19. But that also means that your players are going to have to roll a 14 or 15 to be able to get there. So understanding how hard it is for your players to succeed or fail in any given task makes a huge difference in the roll itself. So remember that. Understand your players, understand the mechanics of the die. This goes from skill checks, social interactions, attacking. If you have to make up a character on the fly or a creature, well, an 8 armor class of 11 gives the average person a 50-50 chance. Players are most likely going to have a +4, so that means they're going to hit. And AC 11 is great for a first level party because they're going to hit more often than not, and your players want to hit. Number 3, the third thing you want to do as a brand new dungeon master, after you've made a bunch of characters, you've rolled the dice a bunch of times, you've kind of seen when things succeed and when things don't based upon what no bonus or modifier is, start playing the game. And don't think big. Think small. Start in a tavern. Tell the players, listen, you guys are a group of people that are adventuring together. You guys decide why you're together. You're going to this far off place. Tell the players what they're going to do. Don't try to create a sandbox. Don't worry about railroading your players. Tell them, this is what we're going to do. You're a new dungeon master. You have every right in the world to say, this is the environment we're going to play. This is how we're going to do it. This is what we're going to do going forward. That way it gives you a chance. Roll lots of combat. Roll lots of skill checks. Help yourself, because every time you roll a skill check, you're going to rely as much on your players as you are. If your players are veterans, they will correct you all the time on how rules work. That's wonderful. Utilize those players. If you are all brand new, nobody's going to know when you mess up or not. They're not going to have the slightest idea what's going on as far as errors go, and that's okay too. But the more you play, the more you roll, the more you engage with the mechanics in this book, the more you're going to have to look up and the more you're going to have to learn. The biggest catch that new dungeon masters have is they never get a chance to play because they try to think of things that are too big. Put a goblin camp somewhere, have a small base somewhere, and say, hey, the local mayor is trying to get rid of these goblins, let's go kill them. I know that seems trite, that seems simple, maybe it seems barbaric. That's okay, because we have to play the game in order to learn the game. I've been playing for 30 years, and if you go onto Reddit and you go onto YouTube, you're going to find out that everyone tells you that their way of playing is the best. I'm going to tell you right now, the best way of playing is your way. But you have to start playing the game. And the best way to play is, this is rules as written. And then as you encounter rules, change them. You will go off the rails. You will create rules that just completely break the game. And that's okay too. As you play, you will become bigger, better, and badder. I mean beefier. Bad is in a good way of a dungeon master. And as you grow as a dungeon master, you'll start to utilize more books. We have a handful of books that are right here. We've got books that we created, the Guildmaster's Guides. And so remember that. Utilize the materials that are available. If you want modules and you want to see how modules are created, go to our Drive-Thru RPG page. They're pay what you want. Download for free just to see how things are developed. We have scaling information in there too. So if you're scaling from parties level 1 to 4, utilize it. Don't have to pay for it. Download it. Utilize the resources that are out there that help you learn by playing the game, knowing the rules, and focusing on that little guy right there. And, as always, guys, we will talk more about some basics of dungeoning and dragoning, the DM style, GM style of all TTRPGs. But we will see you when? We will see you, as always, next time.